A very warm welcome back to another episode of Figuring It Out. I'm your host, Aggie, and as always, it's so good to have you here. Thank you so much for all the people that have subscribed so far. I am enjoying your company and I hope my content is taking you to the next level. If you are somebody who has been promising yourself to do something for the longest time, but you still haven't gotten around to achieving it, this episode is for you. If you're a perfectionist who really wants to do things extremely well, this episode is for you. If you are standing in front of a huge goal and you're wondering how you are going to achieve it, this episode is also for you. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's figure it out. Welcome back and thank you so much again for joining me. Today we're going to talk about motion versus action. I got this idea from an amazing book that I read earlier this year and it's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend that you go ahead and read it, and this idea I hope will jump right at you. So basically in, I think it's chapter 2 of the book, he talks about motion versus action. And what he's basically sharing is how motion and action sound quite similar, but they're actually really, really different. And motion is basically that space where you are strategizing, where you're planning, where you are pondering your idea and just really getting yourself in a state of motion, but you're not actually really doing something about it that would result in tangible results. And I think most of us find ourselves in that space. So I'll use myself as an example. I used to be, let's say 15 years ago or so, I used to be 30 kilos heavier than I am right now. But I had a lot of information. I had read about every diet that exists on this planet. I had read about all kinds of exercises. I had spoken to people who were doing sports, but I myself hadn't really taken any action. So those conversations used to soothe me. Like I would talk about how I'm feeling uncomfortable with my weight to my friends, and it used to soothe me, but it wasn't actually getting me any results. So that state was me being in a state of motion, but actually not being in a state of action. Now, if I had wanted to be in a state of action at the time, then I would just simply have started eating healthy. I would have started drinking a lot of water. Yes, drinking a lot of water actually helps you to shed a lot of weight. I would have also started doing simple exercises that would have been comfortable for me, and I would have already started taking simple actions like, for instance, cutting sugar out of my diet. But I wasn't doing that, so I was carrying this extra weight around, crying about it, but actually not doing something about it. So you see that the state of motion soothed me and comforted me, but it did not give me the results that I was looking for. And that is basically what this episode is about, to encourage you to check yourself and see, are you in a state of motion or are you actually in a state of action? Because only action will actually bring you to the results that you are seeking to have. Now, in his book, he talks about a professor who basically had a photography class and divided the class into two, and he gave one group was basically supposed to just go out and take as many photos as possible, and they would be graded based on the quantity, and another group was to take that one perfect shot, right? So now I'm talking to my dear perfectionists out there. This is not a critique, this is just to really help you look at yourself and say, how can I beat this thing, right? How can I achieve this goal that is right in front of me, that I'm aching and dying to achieve. So group A was the ones that went out and took as many photos as possible, and group B basically found itself, these are the ones that were supposed to bring that one perfect shot. They did not go out and take too many photos. They started investigating light and shadows and just really scenery and setup and yeah, all of that stuff that was supposed to make the photo happen, but they were not actually taking any photos because they were just, you know, working on all the things around, but not actually doing, right? At the end of the day, it was actually when everyone brought in their results, it was actually found that the people who went out and did a lot of the photographing, so the ones that were accumulating a lot of the photos, actually ended up having the perfect shot at some point versus the ones that actually did not practice but took that one single shot that in their opinion was supposed to be perfect. So it is basically to show you that when your planning and your dreaming puts you in a state of procrastination and robs you of the opportunity to practice, you're not becoming any better. You have to go out and you have to be willing to fail, and you have to be willing not to be that perfect, but in the process of doing and doing and doing and doing, you are learning, you are improving yourself, you are giving yourself the opportunity to, it's an agile approach, and you quickly see, where am I, how am I doing, what can I improve? So I hope this encourages you to dare, you know, if you want to become a writer, just go ahead and write, right? It is not so bad to be in a state of motion. It's not bad to research and look into what other writers are doing and so on and so forth. But this kind of approach is not actually bringing you tangible results. It educates you, yes, but it doesn't bring you results. So if you can find a sweet spot in between where you are not stuck in learning alone, but you're also daring to go out and try and take your skill out and dare, and you know, dare to fail, dare to not be perfect, but use that as an opportunity to practice, you will actually find that eventually you will become good at the trade simply because of practicing. The other day I was watching the story or the series about Michael Jordan and just how he came to be the greatest basketball player of all time. And throughout all the 10 episodes of The Last Dance, if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend that you do, especially if you're somebody who is very, how do you say, goal-oriented, driven, you want to do better in life, you want to be a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. I highly recommend that you watch it. And also if you're just a basketball lover, watch it. The lessons are immense, the lessons are many, and it just resonates with this idea that I'm trying to share with you today. Motion is a state of dreaming, action is a state of achieving. You have to practice, you have to go out and do, you have to do even when you are not perfect, you have to do, don't wait for it to be, you know, perfect. I mean, how do you reach perfection without practice, right? How do you improve without trying to start from somewhere, right? So I was watching this series and I saw that, you know, what resonated with him, what really comes across throughout all the 10 episodes, what his teammates said about him, his coaches, his mentors, his family, everyone simply said he was obsessed with practicing. He was obsessed with practicing because he realized that the more he practiced, the better he became, the better results he got. So if you are dreaming of achieving that big goal, recognize those things that give you, that simply leave you at a state of feeling soothed and comforted and feeling safe from failing, feeling safe from being critiqued or criticized, feeling safe from being given feedback. Recognize those things and call yourself up higher and go into a state of action as well, where you bring out your product, you bring out your idea in all its rawness, but you dare. I think it's Seth Godin who said, show me your terrible work, right? Show it to me. If you want to be a writer, show me that article, because if I can help you, I will need something to start with. I will need something to work with, something tangible. So I cannot tell you if you are a good writer or not if you don't give me an article to read. And if I tell you my opinion, it's just my opinion, right? You can take that opinion and use it to reflect and improve yourself, not to beat yourself down. So I think being in a state of motion is also us nursing the fear of, you know, exposure, the fear of being vulnerable, the fear of what are they going to say, what are they going to think, what if I'm not good enough? Guess what? Nobody is good enough, right? Even the best of the best of the best are not yet good enough. So, and you will never know what you will be good at or what you can excel at if you do not learn to rise above your fears and dare. So if you have a dream, if you have a goal that you want to achieve, you have to take action, right? You have to take action. If you want to be a photographer, start photographing. If you want to be a writer, start with a quote a day. Start with an article a day. Speaking of articles and quotes, you're most welcome to follow me on Facebook, where I also practice creating content, and I basically write and write and write, and I get feedback and I try to improve myself. This is just, there's no other way to do it. If you love baking, bake for yourself, bake for your family, and let people taste and tell you what they're thinking. And you can, as the Bible says, test all things and keep that which is useful for you and leave that that is not useful for you. So do not be afraid, step out. There is greatness in you and the world can't wait to get it, but you have to start somewhere. And do not fear imperfection, do not fear being raw, do not fear being vulnerable. There's enough good people out there who are going to give you constructive feedback, and there's just somebody out there who is going to be extremely blessed by your work. And if it only touches one person, it's already a huge deal. I hope this episode blessed you. Thank you so much again for joining me, and get into action. Yeah, I believe in you, and I'll see you again in my next video. Thanks for joining me. Bye bye.